Hi, Justin here from Gel Tactical here. What I'm here today is a short video on how to install the metal lightning blaster gearbox into a CYMA with a nylon box. So one reason why you would look at installing a metal gearbox into the CYMA with the nylon box is while the CYMA metal box is a brilliant box, by going to the metal box it gives you that capability of running bigger springs, bigger motors, a little bit more longevity, a little bit more reliability, because not only is the gearbox metal but all the internals are metal as well. So metal gears, comes with your metal ladder, metal any reverse latch. So essentially by going to this, you're looking at you've got a nice platform to start from with not only the firepower but that reliability as well. Pretty simple job to install the metal lightning blaster gearbox into the CYMA. The tools needed for this job are, you're going to need yourself a little hammer. I personally use a hole punch, but some people have used screwdrivers. I would prefer the hole punch. Flat bladed screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, a 2.5mm Allen key, nice set of little pliers, and some glue, preferably something that's shock resistant. For this one I'm using the Gorilla shock resistant glue. So the parts that will be needed to do this upgrade to the lightning blaster from your CYMA, you'll need your lightning gearbox, which comes with a motor. Keeping in mind this motor is quite brilliant for your lighter springs. It's a really good little motor to start off with. You'll need your lightning blaster T-piece. So in this packet comes your T-piece as well as your spring. And you'll need the barrel. So the barrel I've chosen for this one is a 3500mm in length. It is a 9mm outer and a 7.4 inner diameter. The good thing about using the slightly smaller inner diameter, it is going to increase your FPS as well as your range as well. You also will need to grab yourself a new battery with a mini Tamiya plug. Seeing how we are going to the lightning metal blaster gearbox, you can either still stick with your 7V or you can increase it to an 11V, seeing how it does have your metal internals. The only other thing you will need to look at by doing this conversion is grabbing yourself a lightning blaster magazine, because your old CYMA mags will not fit anymore. All these parts are now available at Gel Tactical. You're able to find us at geltactical.com. Okay, so now that we've gone through the tools that you need and the parts needed, what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into doing the conversion on the CYMA Marksman. A little bit later we'll do another video on the CYMA Silverback, but teardown's pretty much the same on them, with just a few slight differences. So the easiest way I found is, first off we'll start by taking 2.5mm Allen key and just undoing this screw right here. And just pop that to the side. So once you've got that screw undone, you'll just push, I use the Allen key, and you should be able to just push it straight through and that pin should just come straight out. Once you've got that there, if you just pull forward slightly, you'll feel it catch. Once you feel it catch, if you just slightly pull on your charge handle, it gives it enough clearance to be able to slide that top part of the receiver off. Once you get down to there, next we'll move on to, I will take out your mag release. So using your Phillips head screwdriver, you got a little screw here that just comes undone. So in this screw there'll be a little spring and your actual mag release. And then next step what I'll do is I'll move on to removing the buttstock. On the CYMA Marksman, it's quite easy. There's just one little screw on the back there that will actually allow you to pull the whole buttstock off. So using your flat bladed screwdriver, you'll see that there's a little screw just right there. Be a nice long bolt. Once that's removed, I always find it easy just to open the little trap door, just so make sure you don't get all your little wires in the back there caught, and it's just a matter of just removing the stock and just a little collar. So the CYMA Silverback is very similar in the teardown to your Marksman. A few slight differences, the one being the stock, the only one being the stock. So basically you'll want to remove the stock. To do that, if you just pull the little lever down, slide it all the way off. Once you turn it around, so you'll just pull your cord out and you shoot down the buffer tube, you'll see the screw. So using your Phillips head screwdriver, what you want to do is, if you just go straight down the buffer tube, and then just undo that screw. And once you feel the screws undone, if you just slightly just pull on the buffer tube, you should be able to tip it up. And out comes your screw and the little holder for your buffer tube. Your buffer tube will just come off, and same with the collar. Apart from that, the actual teardown of the CYMA, the Silverback, is exactly the same as a Marksman. So once we've got them removed, now I'll look at removing your pistol grip and the motor. To do this, you'll need your Phillips head screwdriver. There's two little screws, one there, one there. Both of them will just need to come out. So once you've got the base plate removed, you'll see two little wires just in here. What I find the easiest is if you just grab your little Phillips head screwdriver again, being ever so careful, if you just tuck the screwdriver just in underneath, if you just roll your hand back, that saves you damaging those little clips. Okay, so now we're ready to take the motor out. A lot of these blasters, you may find that the motor may get stuck or doesn't want to come, like this particular one. I find if you just give it a little tap just on the side of the pistol grip, it'll just come straight out. Okay, so once we remove the motors, there is 4 little screws just in the bottom of this pistol grip here. We'll just need to remove those ones. And then keep in mind to just lift straight up. Once again, keeping in mind to be very careful not to damage those motor tabs, the motor connectors. Okay, now also find why the screws are in there. If you sort of somewhat set it upright, it saves you having to try and relocate those screws back into those holes because it can be quite difficult. So once you get that done, this little pin right here just needs to come out. So as I said earlier on, I like to use a hole punch. I have seen people use screwdrivers, but I prefer the hole punch, just a lot neater, a lot easier. So if you just put the hole punch just on there and just give it a couple little taps, and then using your little set of pliers, you just pull that pin just straight out. Once that pin's actually been removed, you can go ahead and remove the rear pin. For that, you will need your 2.5mm Allen key. And then same as the front receiver, if you just use your Allen key, that pin will just come straight out. Now, a little tip when removing the gearboxes away from the receiver, make sure it's always in safe mode, and it just makes it a lot easier just to remove the gearbox. So push the gearbox forward and you'll sort of lift up and it'll just pop straight out. Now that we've removed the nylon CYMA gearbox, we'll grab our Lightning Blaster metal gearbox, and this one should just drop straight in back into the receiver. So with the wire, pop it, you'll see with there is the hole, and then you've got your little half circle gap there. Just pop your wire through the half circle gap, making sure your 2 motor wires go down into the gap right here. And then what you want to do is angle the gearbox up like this, set the trigger in place, and then it's just a matter of just pushing the gearbox down, and that is all good. Now sometimes you will find the pin won't want to go all the way in. Basically what it is the pin just isn't sitting straight. So if you're looking at it from the top view, you'll see the pin's either kicking one side or the other. If you sort of you can use your pliers, or I use a hammer. If you just sort of give it a little tap, it will seat back in place. Once that pin's back in place, you will need your rear pin with the little Allen key grub screw. So basically for the rear receiver, you want the one that's a full circle. Your full circle side will go onto the same side as what your mag release is on. So the actual mag release bit itself. And then you'll turn them over. And grabbing your Allen key and giving it a tight up. Some people like to go really tight with these. I just like to go firm, only for the simple fact of I've had it in the past where they get a little bit of rust on them or a bit of moisture in there, and it makes it too hard to get off. So I've just found I just always go on mine just enough, just slightly just nip it up, not too tight. Once we've got those two pins back in place, we can go back to putting the pistol grip back on. These keeping in mind the wires. So one tip to note, your CYMA nylon box does have 4 screw holes in them. The new metal Lightning Blaster metal gearbox only has 2 screws, so you will need to remove 2 screws that from in here. So just making sure that the screws are the corresponding ones and correct ones. So I'll just take them out. No worries. So once we've got that all back together, what you'll need then is to grab your Lightning Blaster motor that comes in the packaging. As stated before, these motors are a really nice motor if you're just using your light springs. Bigger springs, they don't tend to like, they're a speed motor. So keeping that in mind, while they're running the lighter springs, these motors are absolutely fantastic. So what you want to do is make sure you drop it in the right way, so it'll always be your positive to the front. And then what I'll do with the wires is just using your pliers, just very gently, you're going to bend a right angle on both of your motor wires. This will help you to install the motors, so onto the motors. So what you will need is, in the bottom of the base plate we removed earlier, there is a little plate in there. So you will still need to use that. You just pop that back onto the back of the motor. This can be quite tricky, but I find if you sit it on the motor and you sort of tilt it a little bit, you should be able to just shimmy that on without it falling off. You'll know you've got it right because it'll sit nicely in place. Probably worthwhile noting too that the standard motor that comes with your nylon CYMAs is only a 460 long. The new motor we're using is actually a 480 long, so there's just a slightly longer motor, which gives them that little bit better performance as well. So basically the little collar will just go straight on, and then your buttstock will just go straight on. After that. And then now comes the semi-tricky bit of popping your screw back in, making sure it lines up to find the little hole. And once you've got it centered, it's just a matter of just doing it straight back up. Okay, so once we've got that done back up, you can just sit that off to the side. So what we're going to look at now is installing the new barrel and your Lightning Blaster T-piece. So basically what you'll do is grab your T-piece out of your packet, It will also come with a little spring and a T-piece. Now if you want to grab your barrel, take out the packet. So essentially these barrels you will find, I've purposely picked the 9mm because your lightning blasters, they run a 9mm T-piece. So I've purposely picked the barrel that's got the 9mm, but as I was saying before, I've gone to the 7.4 inner diameter, which that's 7.4 mils, meaning it's a tighter fit, which is going to be increase your performance even further. So you will notice they are a little bit of a tight fit, which is really good because you haven't got to worry about seating issues in there. So what you'll need now is just your glue. As I said before, preferably something that's non-shock, because this is taking quite a lot of punishment from your nozzle on your blaster. Anything that's non-shock is going to be a lot better for keeping the barrel in place. So what I find with them is, the little grooves that are in there, I normally tend to pop the glue in there. Nice, to give it a nice little coating. Don't worry about going too much because you can always wipe it off what's not needed. Then once you've got the glue in place, just slide in, making sure you'll see in the back of the T-piece there's a little housing that the barrel's pushed all the way back. Once you've got there, you will notice there's a lot of excess. I just give that a bit of a wipe off. And then just sit that to the side for a good couple of hours to set, and that one's good to go. Okay, so now that we've had a bit of a time for our barrel to set, what we're going to look at is placing the new barrel in and look at reassembling the blaster. So to start off, what we'll do is we'll take out the old barrel. Now, I've just noticed there's a little lug in here that will just need to be removed. So for this, I'm just going to use just a normal everyday Stanley knife, and then just take that little lug off or shave it down. This little lug here, what it does is it will stop the actual top of the receiver from sitting right in place. So once that's done, you can grab your new barrel and the spring that come with the lightning blaster T-piece. The spring just goes over the ends, and then what you'll do is you'll just seat the new barrel in. And what I like to do is I always like to leave just a little bit of the barrel sticking out. The reason for that is when you go to assemble it to the top part of the receiver, you should be able to just angle it on, slip it straight over the end. Okay, so once, basically when you'll be sliding the top of the receiver back on, you will find it will get stuck in the same point it did when you're trying to take it off. If you just quickly pop on the charge handle just ever so slightly and give it a wriggle, it should all seat back nicely. Now you will notice this will be under slight spring tension, so that's where your pin that looks like a half circle comes in place, as well as the other Allen key grub screw. So easiest way I find for this, if you just set it up on the buttstock, making sure that the trapdoor is shut for the for the battery, just push down on it. The pin should just slide straight in. Sometimes they can be a little bit tough. You will find sometimes they'll get to a certain point. What you can do with them is if they are a little bit too tight, don't take too much off, but you can clean them up with your Stanley knife. And then once it's seated in place, grab your little grub screw, grab your Allen key and do up the little grub screw. So this one you can go a little bit tighter on because it is only a half circle. It is held in place in the front of the receiver. So these one on mine, I always tend to go a little bit too tight, but not to the point where you've actually reefing on them. So just tighten them up just ever so tightly. And the last thing we've got to do is just reinstall the mag release. So if you just grab the piece that looks like a right angle, you'll see a little hole that comes off the front of the gearbox. This just drops straight through that little hole. And the easiest way I find to put these back in place, so put your middle finger just on that one. You just roll the blaster just straight over and then pull it back towards you. Allows you to drop the spring in, and then the top of the mag release. So if you pop that, line the hole up and do that up, and we are now finished. So what we've gone through here today is installing your lightning blaster metal gearbox into a CYMA, while also installing the new T-piece, the new barrel and the motor. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Keeping in mind, all parts that were shown on here today are available on Gel Tactical. If you like this video as well, don't forget to like the Facebook page, and if there's anything else you'd like to see or any other blasters that you'd like to see done, just let us know.